Hi guys, it's been a while since I did a video because I've been so busy with Anniki, but things are slowing down now, so I thought I'd get back to doing what I do best, apparently. So, someone in Finland had asked me to start doing money-saving videos and how to save money in Finland when you're kind of on a student budget or an unemployed budget or just a low budget in general. That's sort of what the idea of my blog is, but I thought I'd do it in video form and talk a little bit about kind of, I guess, common savings misconceptions that are in Finland. And before I start cooking today, which is going to be a basic meat sauce and some pasta, I want to dispel the rumor that ramen is somehow affordable. This is, I don't know how many grams this is because I can't read it, but this is quite small. And for me personally, I need to eat 2 of these to be full. And one of these costs anywhere between 30 and 40 cents. So for me to be full and have an actual nice meal, I would have to spend between 60 and 80 cents. And it would just be noodles and seasoning packet. There'd be nothing else. But this, what I'm going to make today with the meat sauce and the pasta, with just a basic salt and pepper seasoning, would be 63 cents per serving. And look what you get to eat. You get, well, noodles still, but you also get tomato sauce and meat and salt and pepper, and you don't have to play guessing games about what's actually in the seasoning packet in the ramen. I think it's quite cliche to say that poor people and students should have it because it's just, I guess the upfront cost is cheaper. I mean, to buy 2 seasoning packets where I would be, you know, or not 2 seasoning packets, to buy 2 packs of ramen with the seasoning packets is, like I said, between 60 and 80 cents. And that's, if you buy that once, that's fine. This in total was €3 and €3.79. So the upfront cost is higher, but you can, a single person can eat for 3 days, between 2 and 3 days on all of this food. So in the end, like I said, it's a lot cheaper per serving. And I did all of my shopping this time around at the city market in Puuvilla here in Pori. So this pasta was 19 cents, this was I think 70 cents, this is 17 cents, and this was 2.57. So that should add up to around 3.79 or so. And like I said, you can eat for a few days on this. So I'm going to begin by cutting up my onion. And if my camera dies at some point, there will be an awkward pause because my camera is old and the battery is old, and I have to charge it quite frequently. So I'm sorry in advance if there's some awkward edits here. The important thing to remember too is that if you're a student here in Finland during the school year, there's usually student lunches at your university or at cafes around the university. So, like in Pori, for example, I think away from the SAMK campus, there's 2 places to go and have student lunch, which I think costs, what is it, like €2.50 or something. So if you're the kind of person who can eat once a day, then you don't really have to worry about this so much. But if it's the weekend or you need multiple meals in a day, then you know, this kind of thing is really, it's good to know more than anything. Even if you don't necessarily normally enjoy like a meat sauce or something, it's better than, well, in my opinion, I think it's better than, you know, trying to mess with ramen. So this onion is about 170 grams. It's a pretty average size onion, I think. Oh yeah, and by the way, like, I bought everything at City Market in Puuvilla, but you don't have to. You know, obviously, like, it doesn't have to be City Market. Lidl might have this cheaper, or Pick and Pay if you're in Pori or Rauma or Prisma. I mostly went to City Market because this beef was really cheap. This is 500 grams of beef, and it was only $2.57. So I think that's a pretty good deal. So I went with that. So I'm just putting this onion up here. And I'm going to try really hard not to cry. But it's looking like that's going to happen, and I don't want it to happen. And I'm keeping these onion pieces big, partly because I suck at cutting onions because of my blindness, but also because when you're kind of making cheap meals like this, I think it's really important to have texture. So it kind of makes you feel like you're eating more than you actually are. I don't know if there's any like basis in science with that, but it works for me. So even though this is quite simple, you have the illusion that you have big chunks of food, and onions are delicious, so why would anyone complain? Yeah, I'm tearing up, this sucks. And sorry for any baby noises you hear in the background. That's Nikki trying to get involved. She just wants to help, you know. Throw my onion bits away here. Oh, and I'm gonna turn that on to about medium. That's about medium. Alright, so this is pretty well chopped. So now I just wait for the heat to get to the pan. I'm gonna add some olive oil, which you don't have to use olive oil. And I don't, that's the other thing too, I don't count salt, pepper, and oil or butter into my recipes because I assume that someone has some kind of, or everyone has some kind of butter or oil in their house. So it doesn't have to be olive oil, use whatever you have. I use olive oil for everything, so that's why I have olive oil. I'm gonna wait for that pan to get a little bit hotter. These are crushed tomatoes, and like I said, this was about 70 cents. I purposely bought the K-menu version of these. There were other brands and things, but this was the cheapest. When it comes to certain K-menu and Extra and all of those kind of cheaper brands and store brands, always check the ingredients to make sure that you're getting what you're buying. Because you just never know what it actually is, being that it's so cheap. But with this, all they add is just a little bit of citric acid in with a tomato. Otherwise, it's 99% tomato. So for me, that's good enough. But you should always check just to make sure, especially with meat. It doesn't apply nearly as much with these cartons of vegetables and vegetable product, but always with meat, make sure you're actually getting meat when you buy it. I don't want to add the onion too early because then it'll kind of just get oily and not be very good. So I have to wait a bit. And yeah, this is just a regular bag of macaroni. In Prisma, these are 17 cents, I think, and then in City Market, these are 19 cents. So you get much more noodles than with ramen. And I think this goes a lot further, I think. And it just fills you up better too. You don't have to use this though. I use this because it's cheap. You could easily use spaghetti or any kind of other shape you want, but once you get away from these basic macaroni shapes, it gets to be a bit more expensive, and then it's just not as, it's not as budget friendly. But if you're not on like an extreme budget, then it's all good. This is still a bit early, but it's boring to watch me stand next to a board full of chopped onion. And I probably should have heated up the pan while I was chopping, and I'm sorry that I didn't do that. So, I need not that, this. So, that should start to get hot soon. And I'm just gonna add salt and pepper to the onions because I like to season every bit of the way. Seasoning is really important when you're making this kind of budget food because again, you just want to feel like you're eating something nice and flavorful and not just sadness. Because I mean, I don't know, for me at least, when I'm broke or in like a kind of like a poor phase, it just kind of adds insult to injury when I have to eat. Yeah, why can't I talk today? It adds insult to injury when I have to eat something crappy. There we go. Now it came out. I mean, it just makes me feel worse about the whole experience if I have to live with myself knowing that not only am I poor, but I have to eat like a microwavable pizza or a microwavable soup or something. So, all Alright, I'm going to turn the camera off and come back when this onion is a bit more going, and then I'll show you what to do next. Hi. These onions have been cooking now for about 4.5 minutes, so I think it's time for me to add my beef. It's not actually pure beef, it's beef and pork mixed together, which is a really common thing in Finland, but it's always really cheap. So, I mean, I don't really care. I don't have any food aversions. If you don't eat pork for whatever reason, then obviously you can just try to go out and find like regular not pork beef, but it's usually a bit more expensive. So I'm gonna have to wash my hands. I was trying to take this off in a way that would mean I wouldn't have to wash my hands, but I think I'm gonna have to wash my hands anyway. So I'm gonna add this. I'm going to wash my hands, which I know is great television. Hygiene is important. Okay, so you just want to start stabbing this, basically, and get it broken up. This is really similar to how I make my burritos, if you've seen that video. And if you haven't, it's on my channel here, so you can check it out. You just kind of break this up and mix it around. I'm going to be careful when I'm stabbing because I'm always afraid I'm going to knock meat out of the pan, which is not a fun thing to clean up. Also, you don't have to use 500 grams of meat. Usually in like the Hall and other boxes, they come in 400 gram boxes. This was just fresh, so this is why it was a random number, but 400 grams of meat is also totally okay. That 100 grams is not super important. And usually the 400 grams costs somewhere around €2 if you buy the cheaper brands. So, but then I think you can, obviously you might not be able to feed 6 people or do as many servings of this, but like I said, it's only 100 grams, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. And you just kind of want to mix this around a bit. Now at this stage, this can become anything. And this is why I like this sauce, because depending on what spices you have, you can make this Italian or Mexican or even kind of try to go like an Asian route with it. Like it's really up to you and what you have in your pantry spice-wise. My recommendation is if you're just kind of moving and getting everything settled, go out and just invest in spices. It's going to be expensive up front, but it's worth it in the long run. I mean, everyone has salt and pepper, but I mean, you should also have basil. You should also have cayenne pepper. You should also have chili powder. You should also just have all of these little things that can raise a plain meat and tomato sauce to something better. So the water is going to come out of that a bit. I'm just going to keep mixing it. I'm going to get a little bit more color in before I add the tomato. Another example is Gordon Ramsay has a really good bolognese recipe where he adds at this stage red wine and Worcestershire. So if you want to make this a bit more fancy, you can go the Gordon Ramsay route and do that. The cover. Now that that's gotten mixed, I'm going to add tomatoes in, and I should also, before I do that, add water to this pasta. Alright. So yeah, that looks good. And I'm going to add my tomatoes. These things are very Finnish. I can honestly say in the US I never saw tomatoes come like this, or anything really come like this, but everything here seems to. Baby formula and tomatoes and all kinds of things. Oops. That's fun. Did I do more? Okay, I hope I didn't make a bigger mess. Since this is taking ages, I might as well mix it in. Alright, right now I'm just trying to figure out what spices I currently own. That's not a spice, that's pine cones or something. This is oregano, that's useful. And basil. See, I did have basil. Okay. So I added the tomatoes, the 500 grams of crushed tomatoes. And now I'm going to add lots of basil, oregano, and garlic powder. And I'm using dried basil because it's what I have. But it's also really easy to grow basil plants if that's your thing. So you should look into it. And then here I have oregano. Let me just add back these pine coney guys that are for some reason on my spice shelf. I'm just going to mix that. Like I said, I don't count the cost of the spices into this because it's really up to you which spices you decide to add. So my version where I come up with the 63 cents is just from salt and pepper seasoning. It's up to you to kind of decide what you want to add, and your own budget can be anything, so yeah. This is mixed. I'm going to add a little more salt and a little more pepper. My water is not quite boiling yet, but it's getting there. So I'm going to add salt now, because it's really important to salt your pasta water. Always. It's the only time you really get to season it, and it makes a difference. So it's really important now to just kind of let the meat steep out in all of its own juice and the tomato sauce juice also, and kind of let the spices and everything kind of stick together and hang out and be friendly. This is boiling, I think. Yes. I'm going to add all of the macaroni. And basically, while the macaroni is boiling, this cooks, and they're done at the same time. So I'm going to come back when the macaroni is closer to being done and show you how to put this all together. Alright, so I've turned the heat off on the pasta because that's ready, and this is also ready, so I'm going to dump the pasta and then I'm going to put everything together. accidents yet. This is done. The sauce. Oops. The sauce is also done. My stove is a bit dirty, so actually, you get to watch me attempt to resolve my stove a bit. Where did my paper towels? Oh, there. So normally when I would make food, I wouldn't make this much at a time. I would just add the pasta to the pan. But because there's so much pasta and my pan is so small, I think that wouldn't end well. So I'm gonna do it a way I would normally, and just first add my pasta to my plate, and then add my desired amount of meat and sauce. I'm very hungry, so sorry if this makes me look like a little bit. And then that needs a spoon. Excuse me, camera lady. This I can just put here. There. And there you have it. It's basic meat sauce done my way. So let me know what you think if you try it out, and let me know your variations too. Thanks for watching.